Roquan Smith might already be the best player on the Ravens team, or at least let's put it this way: he's the guy who's had the most impact in the 7 games since he's been with the Ravens organization. 61 tackles, 6 tackles for loss. We're going to get some film rolling here from previous games before we talk about the Falcons game, where he had 14 tackles. Look, 61 tackles in 7 games. Those 7 games, the Ravens are only allowing 13 points per game. Now, granted, only one of those games has been against a team that appears to be playoff bound, and they scored 28 points. That's Jacksonville. 2 sacks, 1 interception, 91 points allowed in those 7 games. The impact that Roquan Smith has, he's almost like a free safety playing linebacker from the standpoint of he erases mistakes. And when we get to the film of the Falcons game, you'll see that he did essentially save 1 touchdown on a screenplay that we still seem to give up yards against, even dating back to week 2 against the Dolphins. Roquan Smith has been as advertised. Even better, I would say, to be honest with you. He fits in perfectly with Patrick Queen. Those two appear to have this stunt down in terms of gap exchanging it or exchanging the responsibilities, where Queen will blitz, and maybe they know the direction of the play, maybe they don't, but the idea is if it's a run play away, then Queen is blitzing in the direction of the play. If it's a run play to them, then what they're doing is they're clogging up some lineman here who's got to deal with Queen, and it allows Smith to have a short edge and basically fold over the top, which is what you're going to see happens here. They've run this probably 4 times since Smith has been with the Ravens, and it works every time. What I mean by that is it ends up with that result you see right there. So those two are on the same page. They communicate and they understand when to use it. He's a finisher. And he's a guy that when he tackles people, there's a level of violence there. And I understand that Steelers fans certainly didn't like the way that he tackled Kenny Pickett, and there's going to be a rematch Sunday night. Huge game for the Ravens. Whether Lamar plays or not, this defense has to show up and not allow so many yards and so many opportunities for the Steelers to score. We know they had 3 interceptions inside the red zone. I think Smith played possibly his best game against the Falcons on Saturday, even though among those 14 tackles, he only had 1 tackle for loss. So this first play is going to be a run concept, and he's always tracking the back. Like, he's always on the correct leverage side. There is some very clear evidence, if you ask me, of film study. Does he occasionally bite on play action when the quarterback boots the opposite way? Yes, he does, but the benefit is he's in the backfield so many times like this for tackles for loss, or this is the same play from the end zone angle, by the way, for tackles for loss or tackles at the line of scrimmage that you just can't quantify. He understands blocking schemes and wins to the front side. I don't know that I have seen an inside linebacker in the last 2 years who is so consistently able to win to the leverage side and then redirect or reorient back to where the running back tries to fit. This is perfect. I mean, he's tracking the running back, staying on the running back's backside hip. It's a really poor fake by this running back. I mean, it's a dead giveaway that something you're never going to see steps like this elongated steps by these running backs, for multiple concepts. What I'm saying is I believe that Smith sees this and understands that this play is going to come back in this direction through film study and just awareness. It's a very unusual step by a running back. Roquan Smith, I'm sure, is one of those guys who can see hi-hat by the offensive lineman indicating pass, but can also see a path to the running back to track them. This is an example of what I was talking about earlier. Play action, occasionally he'll bite on it, but this is not his breakdown. He is one of the ones who makes the tackle. This is actually Kyle Hamilton, biting too far on the play action and not able to cover up Drake London in the flats on the drag from the opposite side. If you understand what I'm talking about, here is Smith. Here is Hamilton. Smith, yes, we would like for him to recognize it a little quicker and turn and go, but he's not going to stop Drake London unless he redirects him right now, which I've seen him do that in the past, to be honest with you. Kyle Hamilton is the breakdown here in terms of the guy who should be covering the flats to that side, and you can see he was way later to redirect. He lined up further to the outside, but he was later to redirect than Roquan Smith was. But generally, when you get Hamilton, Smith, and Queen playing at the second level together, things like this do not generally happen. They have so much range, all 3 of them. They fit so well together. It'll be very interesting to see next year. Well, hopefully we get Roquan Smith signed, right? Extended. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with Kyle Hamilton and where he gets where he gets deployed, because playing at the second level next to Queen and Smith, the range that those three guys provide means things like this can happen. This is a man-free coverage where Patrick Queen's going to get beat by the running back to the boundary, something I expect to see the Steelers attack us with, and Roquan Smith makes the tackle. Now, it's a first down, but if you recall, the very next play, you get an intentional grounding call on Desmond Ridder, so thankfully, Smith was there to clean it up. I think the Steelers are going to attack us here, to be honest with you, to the boundary. So what I mean by when I say to the boundary is the ball is on this hash, so the short side of the field with the X receiver and the running back going against Humphrey and Queen. Teams have been attacking Humphrey to the right-hand side of the defense, the left-hand side of the offense, and I fully expect to see the Steelers do that Sunday night. This is the very next play. So indicating to you, or I'm trying to sell you, that it was a pretty damn important tackle that Roquan Smith made, because the very next play is the intentional grounding that set the Falcons back, and they had to settle for a field goal late in the half. Could have very easily been a touchdown on the previous play, and the Ravens are in a drastically different situation if Atlanta is able to get to 12 points as opposed to 9. All right, another example of man free. This time Kyle Hamilton's going to get beat on this little out and in route by Drake London, and Roquan Smith's there to cover it up. I say man free. It's not exactly man free. It looks like quarter split field here with these guys. Hamilton's matching up with London. Man free from the standpoint of what Roquan Smith is doing, just playing the low hole, reading the quarterback's eyes. He's always there to make tackles, and most of his tackles are not like the one you just saw 5, 6, 7 yards downfield. I have seen that criticism of certain inside linebackers before. You cannot levy that at Roquan Smith, if you ask me. He's a guy that makes plays at the line of scrimmage, behind it, or close to it, like this one. Always seems to fit things correctly, and this is another example of a run concept to Queen side where the Ravens are intentionally blitzing Queen on the backside, and that allows Smith to fold over the top. Basically gives him a short edge because the lineman has to deal with Patrick Queen. Hopefully I explained that in a way that makes sense. All right, end zone angle, same play. Here's Smith. Queen is going to go here, and that's going to allow Smith to fold over the top. This is a designed call where it really, if it's a run situation, if the Ravens think they've got run reads, we kind of can't be wrong with this stunt. Because if the run concept ends up going this direction, well, now we're getting Queen running to the play side. It's still going to possibly free up Roquan Smith. We just normally got to tag it with something with the nose tackle, which in this case, the D tackle is stepping in this direction, and Queen is taking over what looks like front side A, or the A gap on our left on the screen. The defense is right. Great play by Matabike as well over here, playing in a tight 5 technique. But the point is, the Ravens have run this 4 times that I have on film since we've had Roquan Smith, and in every case it's been a run play, and in every case Roquan Smith's been able to get involved in a tackle like you see there. This is the last play I'll show you, and I'll show it from both angles. I think it was tremendously important. Basically, Roquan Smith saves a touchdown, if you ask me. When you get the all-22, you'll see it. I think saves a chance that the Falcons had at a touchdown. I guess let me rephrase it. We're 3-on-3 out here on the edge, and another example where we're dropping someone from the side where there's 3 receivers, and they're running a screen, so we're dropping JPP out of here. When you get the all-22, you'll see how we're just basically being outflanked. We don't have enough guys out here. 1, 2, 3 lead blockers, another lead blocker. You've got a receiver out here running Brandon Stevens off, and the receiver's able to catch it and then run to the sideline. Kyle Hamilton misses the tackle. Marcus Williams falls down, and thankfully Roquan Smith was hustling already. You get the all-22, and you can let me know what you think of it if you're as impressed. Here's Roquan Smith in here. We got trips to one side. I hate dropping someone out from the trip side away from the trips. It's kind of like just a -1 in terms of guys who can pursue from inside out. We're dropping JPP out of there. Roquan Smith's got the closing speed. To me, it's very possible that ends up being a touchdown or ball down inside the 5 if Patrick Queen's able to make the play. Hamilton misses the tackle. Marcus Williams gets blocked by an offensive lineman. Running back breaks free. Roquan Smith makes a tackle. That's when I say, he's a free safety playing inside linebacker. I don't mean like he's making most of his tackles 6, 8 yards downfield. Not at all. I just showed you film of him making hella plays behind the line of scrimmage for tackles for losses, or even the sack on Kenny Pickett that I showed you on the first play. What I mean is that he's an eraser. He can erase mistakes, and mistakes can be a 4 or a 5-yard gain that could have very easily been a longer gain if we didn't have a guy like Roquan Smith at the second level. I'm a huge fan of Marlon Humphrey, and I think he's been our most consistent player along the whole team up to about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I feel like his level of play has dipped somewhat, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the height and size and catch radius of certain receivers he's going against, George Pickens and Drake London. But in any case, the guy who's playing the best in the last 7 games, for me, in my opinion, has been Roquan Smith. Huge pickup. Hopefully we're able to re-sign him and Lamar as soon as the season is over and get both of those situations handled so our draft approach can be clean and direct. Let me know what you think of Roquan Smith's play against the Falcons. I think it was at a pretty damn high level, particularly displayed on that last play there where I think he saved a touchdown, basically. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section.